forced to leave my ethics class. This better be important. So, someone better have killed someone.
Worse, Your Honor, this man...
Objection, she's a woman. Are you blind?
Whatever, this woman, who represents all the subsidiaries of HP, has been bribing consultants, purchasers, other companies, and even government officials for many years for the sole purpose of gaining improper advantage for their corporation over other competitors and winning contracts to supply their hardware and software exclusively. Using such dirty tricks to outdo their competitors, stealing customers, and gaining a profit is just downright wrong.
Objection, Your Honor. Persecution is just being dramatic. Everybody does it when doing business internationally.
Okay, are you admitting to the crime then? Oh, sorry. Are you admitting to the crime then?
No, Your Honor. My client did nothing wrong.
Prosecution, state your case.
Thank you, Your Honor. They have done a lot wrong. And first, I have all the proof right here. In Mexico, HP subsidiary paid over $2 million to a consultant who paid a guy who paid a guy who paid a guy who paid another guy to retain a multi-million-dollar contract with the Prosecutor General's office to supply hardware and software exclusively, Your Honor. In Poland, their sales manager provided $600,000 worth of gifts and cash cards to the head of IT at the National Police Agency in order to get him to choose them for their long-term contract. Finally, in Mexico, if it wasn't enough, in order to win a bid for a software sale for Mexico's state-owned petroleum company worth $6 million, HP paid a huge $1.4 million to a consultant and an official at the company who the consultant had connections with.
Objection.
As an incentive to give HP the sale over competitors.
Your Honor, persecution is weak.
Oh god, don't be so you get a turn as well. Continue.
These are all direct violations of the purchasing code of ethics between buyers and suppliers, and also breaks the Foreign Corrupt Practices Act and so many competition law that allows for fair international business. This is a huge ethical issue, and we at the U.S. Regulator's Office will not tolerate it. They must be punished.
Your Honor, there is no evidence. They don't have any proof.
Well, I don't even have time for proof in this 15-minute presentation. We'll lose marks. And besides, I have a haircut to go to. Therefore, I hereby declare HP guilty for all the major violations in ethics stated above, and HP has to pay $108 million in penalties.
Yes. Your Honor.
Alright, now we'll discuss the punishment. First, I'd like to hear from the guilty party. Former HP executive, please take your stand. Alright, so what caused you to do this?
You really want to know all that?
Not really.
Okay, well, Your Honor, foremost, it's a common thing to do in my country. It's more acceptable and government regulation isn't that great, so why not? I'm quite sure it's the same with management levels in the other countries that were mentioned. We need to appeal to higher-ups and shareholders who are interested in profit, and as executives in these countries, we get pressured to secure contracts with our jobs on the line, and we don't like being uncertain. So what's a little money for less risk and a substantial contract that'll outweigh the cost in no time?
Well, this is kind of interesting. So, isn't it really risky if you get caught?
Positions and the power that comes with it are huge in our countries. We make all the difficult local decisions and people don't question us. No one to whistleblow? HP is a huge company. I mean, it operates in more than 170 countries. It's pretty hard to check up on so many locations on time, don't you think? All it takes is a bit of teamwork between executives to hide information from headquarters and the public, and there you go. Big contract, huge profit, bonuses, and a potential long-term business relationship with the government. Sure, what we did was certainly anti-competitive, but let's face it, the IT industry in our countries is nowhere close to strong. Regulations are mediocre, promotion of fair competition is poor anyways, and the government takes bribes. So who's going to be seriously harmed for large contracts, except for maybe some other big corporation with access to capital for bribing? Because what small indigenous company in that kind of market is going to get such a huge contract in the first place?
Okay, now that I've heard the executive testimony, HP must discuss alternatives, and based on what you decide, implementation standards will be given, and you are fired.
Oh, I was already fired.
Oh, well, I'm firing you again. Okay, hi Jeanette.
Hello, CEO.
Hi, so like from the email you sent me, I noticed that you prepared 3 alternatives for this solution, is that right?
Yeah?
Okay, so like seeing this as an ethics presentation, let's go with the ethics of duty and use that to analyze each alternative. Does that sound good?
Okay.
So like the first alternative that you mentioned is that we just pay fines and continue bribing. For that, I mean, when you roam, you do what Romans do, right? It's just so much fun being bad. What do you think?
Yes, we could just pay the fines and state that it's some normal occurrence in the process of HP's business and nothing needs to be done about it. Ethically, you could go with egoism and say that it's morally right because you're choosing in HP's best interest. But as you already know the result, you got fined for 108 million. And there is a current potential ban to do any business with Canadian government. So expect more penalties and bans if you are going to continue with it.
But it's just common practice in those countries. I mean, bribing is an easy way to get ahead, plus it's so fun.
Yes, I understand, but there is a legal component to the matter. What is normal in those countries may not be legal in the country that holds jurisdiction over your business.
How about the second alternative that you mentioned in your email? I mean, it's so boring, but we basically use our American code of ethics and practices overseas with minimum compliance to local regulations. We have continuous trainings and assure employees that there are no negative impacts of not obtaining a contract from avoiding using bribery. What do you think?
Well, there are some good rationales for this. Stronger transparency in your system. Also, you'd avoid more penalties. In an ethics of duty approach, this would be better since you'd put less pressure on employees to go against their integrity. And it would also treat them as ends and less as means. But if every company did this, some companies would have consistent practices overseas, while others won't be able to, like Chinese companies with their gift giving. Just know you'll have higher training costs, maybe less employee motivation, and you might lag behind competitors who do bribe.
Alright, how about our last alternative that you mentioned in the email? In the email, you emphasize that we have to incorporate local culture and appropriate business practices in our code of ethics. We have to make major improvements into our related internal controls overseas. We also have to find out where employees are more likely to bribe and set up a reporting channel, do trainings, employ an external auditing team for foreign contracts in those countries. What do you think about that?
So HU likely have better internal controls overseas to reduce illegal behavior. This would be the best in terms of ethics of duty. If every company used legally appropriate practices, but also respect the culture, that eliminate a lot of immoral practices. Tailoring standards to local context would treat employees as ends with legal compliance. It'd be universally law-giving. However, keep in mind the large costs and the variance from country to country. And this might be lost to competitors that behave illegally.
You know, Jeanette, this is actually a really hard decision to make.
Well, even the fact, I'll leave the decision up to you.
Alright, thank you so much, Jeanette, for all your comments and helping me analyze all the alternatives. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
The last alternative impressed me the most. We have a strong brand, and since we already established HP successfully globally, we simply just can't afford losing any more competition by getting bans in countries like Canada, or by simply not following any localized practices. Of course, improving internal controls and tailoring standards are costly, but as CEO, I'm intrigued with the long-term benefits of it, rather than the short-term. We're aiming to improve our reputation and building a stronger comparative advantage in the foreign market. So tackling business from a more ethical perspective that respects the local culture may help us with larger profit in the future and promote more growth in the foreign markets through a fairer competition. That was our recommendations for our alternatives. Alright, so that's the end of our presentation. Thank you so much for watching our video. Thank you so much. Oh, you guys want to see who I have here? Oh, it's just my dog. Say hi. Hi. Oh, did I turn this off? Not yet. Okay.